If you have watched my review of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, you'll know that I was very excited for that game and pretty optimistic going into the game's launch window. If you haven't watched that review, I would recommend you watch it first and then come back to this video after. But basically, my thoughts on that base game were that it was a bit of a disappointment. That being said, I still thought that it had potential, and with future seasonal content on the way, if managed correctly, it could fulfill its potential. So Season 1 is here now, and I finally got around to playing it. I've put a good amount of hours into it, and I have quite a few thoughts. So let's talk about it. Season 1 began on March 28th, 2024, and as has become somewhat tradition with this game, it was an underwhelming launch with tons of server downtime and plenty of bugs. The base game had many bugs, but I was fortunate enough to experience very few of these bugs firsthand. I was not so lucky with this Season 1 launch and experienced quite a few of these bugs myself. This game desperately needs a win, and most in fact have already given up on it. I was holding on to hope that Season 1 would really start to turn things around. I had praised Rocksteady for their player-friendly approach to their seasonal content in my review. However, this was based on developer interviews and the roadmaps we had been shown. Now that we have some of this content in our hands, and I've been able to play it, I have to say I am disappointed yet again. This is some of the most grindy, repetitive, and boring content I have played in the past few years. Yes, most of the seasonal content is free, but even then it doesn't feel worth investing time into. Let's start with the headline act for Season 1, the Joker. This is not your traditional Arkham Joker. This is a much younger Joker from another universe. I don't hate this take on Joker, however, I feel like they haven't given us enough to go on for this character. We get an intro cutscene upon opening the game for the first time after the Season 1 update. This is a simple motion comic style cutscene. It gives us some background info on Joker being captured and experimented on by Brainiac, but gives us little info on Joker himself or his Earth. The only other cutscenes we get in this season are the beginning of the new Brainiac boss battle and the Joker intro immediately following said battle. Prior to the game's release, Rocksteady constantly reassured us that the story will be a very important part of this game and its following seasonal content. So what we have here is another huge disappointment as we get 2 cutscenes and only 1 mission which progresses the narrative of the game. If you're, for whatever reason, excited to see the story of the base game continued in this seasonal content, don't be, because there is no story here. As a big DC fan, I was keen to see Harley's reaction to a new Joker and how she would approach the situation. Well, we got nothing. Harley makes one throwaway comment about how she is over comedians, and that's about it.
Hal? Hell no! Been there, done that, got the scars, did some healing. I'm not into that type anymore.
Maladaptive narcissists?
Comedians.
She never interacts with this Joker, and the Joker never really feels like a part of the squad, as he has no cutscenes or story to develop through and bond with the squad. Joker is thrown into the squad and then there's no further development on the situation. Joker himself is very fun to play. His rocket-powered umbrella makes for a great traversal skill set, comboing rocket jumps and gliding and surfing on his rocket-powered umbrella. I had a lot of fun just flinging myself across Metropolis and raining grenades on Brainiac's forces from the sky. The Joker has some great animations which match the zany, chaotic, and unpredictable nature of the character, yet he still maintains a somewhat graceful composure as he flies through the air. When it comes to combat, the Joker plays like pretty much everyone else in the game. Once again, it's just a case of shooting everything. I did build my Joker to be as explosive as possible with added grenade drops and bonus damage on explosives, so that helped spice things up a little bit. While there is still no meaningful melee combat, Joker was presented with a few more impactful melee weapon options than I saw in the main game for other characters. Some melee weapons you can acquire for the Joker have multi-second reset times but deliver 1000 times damage buffs. So you can deal huge damage during shield harvests in particular, but will be open to close range attacks with no melee yourself for about 7 seconds after. A high risk, high reward approach to melee hits which feels good and fits a character like the Joker well. So one of the biggest critiques of this new Joker has been his visual design. And I have to say, personally, I'm not a fan of this Joker design, but I don't hate it. I feel like the base design is too busy and trying a little too hard to stand out. Using Luther coins I was given during the early access as an apology for server outages at the time, I purchased the lowest tier classic Joker skin pack. The classic purple suit was a much better fit for the character. So with the outfit now fixed by the classic pack, everything else was fine. He has the iconic clown white skin, green hair, and red smile. This is not my favorite Joker design, but he is still the Joker. I thought the voice performance was pretty good. Some lines felt a little off, but I feel the issue here was poor writing and ultimately a lack of material to work with.
Memories. I don't know what you're looking for, but cards on the table. You don't get more unreliable narrator than me. It's my thing. And the collateral damage. Oh, but don't worry about that.
The Joker is played by J.P. Karliak, who is also playing Morph in the brilliant X-Men 97 series on Disney+. I think that with what little he seems to have been given to work with, he did a great job as Joker. I'm keen to see more from him and learn a little bit more about his version of the character, as well as seeing the squad properly interact with him. Unfortunately, Rocksteady doesn't seem particularly interested in giving us any of that.
What's a place like this doing in a guy like me? Well, I'll pick your brain about it sometime. Ice pick! You guys are handsy.
One of my biggest critiques of the base game is that the mission design was very repetitive. So, have Rocksteady actually added some variety and improved the missions on offer in the game with Season 1? No. No, of course they haven't. I don't know why I keep hoping for better at this point. I love Rocksteady. The Batman Arkham games are some of my favorite games of all time. Despite all the red flags in the build-up to this new Suicide Squad game, I was optimistic and gave Rocksteady the benefit of the doubt. Now, where did that unwavering fanboy outlook leave me? It left me disappointed, time and time again as this game progressed. So, what is it about the mission specifically which disappoints me so much? One word sums up a huge number of the problems I have with this game and its mission design and progression in particular. Grind. This season adds 2 new incursion mission types. However, these are really just variations on existing missions and offer nothing unique or particularly interesting. One of the biggest complaints about this game is that Joker isn't immediately playable. In order to unlock the Joker, you have to first grind to get your fear level to around 34 or so. This involves playing the same missions you've been grinding for hours from the base game, as well as those 2 additional mission types, which are essentially the same thing. You then have to complete the second Brainiac boss fight, which is simply a reskin of the Green Lantern boss battle from the base game. Season 1 is simply recycling existing content to prolong game time and alter the perceived value of Season 1's content. This is nothing new for live service games, but it is something I would expect a few seasons down the line, not at the very start of the game's life cycle. So you have to grind out fear levels to simply unlock Joker. Only once you have unlocked Joker and defeated Brainiac again can you now start your second grind of ranking up your mastery levels of each incursion mission, which is required to further rank up your fear level. This is back to business as usual then, as you progress in the exact same way as the base game, with no real incentive to even do so. You grind regular missions to earn Prometheum, so you can grind mastery levels within incursion missions, enabling you to level up your fear rank, all while grinding for battle points to progress the battle pass. It's a never-ending grind with pretty poor rewards that honestly don't really incentivize continued play of the game, which as you can imagine is really bad for a live service game. And honestly, the only reason I have played as long as I have is because I like these characters. In terms of new weapons, we do get some new infamous and notorious weapons, as well as mods based on different DC villains such as Scarecrow. These weapons have some cool buffs and effects, but don't add anything significant to the game overall. What confuses me is that here we have a selection of new gear added and an entirely new character with their own gear on top of all of your other squad members' gear. Yet the inventory size remains the same. This just seems like a bit of an oversight to me, especially given we have no bulk storage or locker system to store excess loot that we don't want to scrap or get rid of. The open world of Metropolis has been transformed into a Jokerized version of the world, complete with presents, jack-in-the-boxes, balloons, ribbons, and confetti. There are a few cool things, such as a giant Joker-themed wheel in the middle of the city, but most of the design here falls flat and becomes forgettable very fast. Changes were made, but it doesn't quite feel Joker enough for me. Then we have the incursion zones. Initially these seem promising with much more colorful Joker styles, but you quickly realize they're simply reskins of the bland and uninspired locations from the base game's incursion missions. The world we play in here is definitely an improvement from the dull and repetitive world design of the endgame we got at launch. However, the incursion zones in particular still aren't memorable or of any real interest. This is a real shame, as these sections take place across the multiverse and have potential for all sorts of crazy level design. But instead we get the same uninspired, broken sections of a ruined Metropolis. Another case of what seems like an obvious missed opportunity. Now that Season 1 has officially begun, we're starting to see how Rocksteady and Warner Bros. Are handling the store and microtransactions in this game. At launch, I had an issue with the skin packs available. Most of them had 3 tiers of increasing cost and added a few extra small cosmetic items, such as color swashes, at each tier. Unfortunately, this is very much still the case. And now we have additional skin packs arriving. Honestly, I'm extremely disappointed by most of the skins we've seen so far. Nothing jumps out as being particularly cool or eye-catching. The cost of these skin packs are still ridiculous given what little is in them. Unfortunately, this just is the norm for this type of game and the industry as a whole right now. You can now purchase a token to unlock a premium battle pass for the game. The battle pass here for Season 1 is one of the worst I have seen in recent years. The skins which are unlockable in the battle pass range from boring to just plain ugly. The rewards, both free and premium tiers, are boring and simply not worth the grind required to unlock them. Speaking of the grind, each mission awards you 50 battle pass points upon completion. Each level of the battle pass requires 1,000 of these points to progress to the next level, and there are over 70 levels. Now, there are some additional ways to gain battle pass points, such as contracts, but it's still painfully slow to level up. The fact that the rewards aren't of interest means there's no satisfaction to be found in spending all of that time leveling up the battle pass. I praise Rocksteady for their decision to remove time constraints on battle passes. Rocksteady removing that time limit in battle passes is, however, no excuse for making them a long, boring, and infuriating slog to get through, especially when the rewards kinda suck. One of the big issues with this Season 1 store update is the addition of Joker as a purchasable character within the game's store. We have been told this entire time that Joker will be a free addition to the game, yet when Season 1 launched, Joker appeared in the store to purchase. Nowhere in the store did it mention that you can in fact get him for free by playing certain missions. This is just another greedy, money-grubbing tactic to take advantage of players who aren't as in the know on the game. Or perhaps don't have the time or patience to grind out incursion missions for a few hours in order to unlock Joker for free. This isn't the first time Warner Bros. Has tried something like this either. We've seen this tactic used in the past with games such as Injustice 2 and Mortal Kombat 11. This game took over $100 million and 7 years of dev time to create, and this is what we got. Now, I know game development is an incredibly difficult feat, both creatively and technically, but I really don't think this is the game that fans wanted. It's not the game that I wanted. Honestly, it doesn't seem like this is the game that Rocksteady wanted to create. And after seeing the sales numbers and player counts, it's safe to say this is not the game that Warner Bros. Wanted either. With an overall player count of just over 13,000 and current player count of between 200 and 300, things aren't looking great for Suicide Squad right now. Player retention is horrific, and if this Season 1 content is the standard that is going to be met with future seasons, those player numbers are just going to drop and we're going to see fewer and fewer players returning with each season. And that is of course assuming Rocksteady and Warner Bros. Even release those future seasons and don't just call it quits now and put this mess out of its misery. Personally, I wouldn't be surprised if this game saw a much shorter lifespan than we were expecting. Currently there are 4 seasons planned for release. However, I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see all of these actually release, given the current state of the game and Warner Bros. Clear disappointment with sales numbers. So those are my thoughts on Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League Season 1. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Are you disappointed by this game as well, or is it actually everything you've ever dreamed of? Let me know. I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.